the day. I'm sorry, my light here is not very well, as you can see, but I guess you can hear me well. And anyway, we'll switch to the slides now. Just a second. Yeah, as Eniko already said, I'm going to talk a bit about the topic of circularity and longevity for a sustainable future and the topic of design to last. And thank you, Eniko, for this really cool topic. I did a talk in 2022 for Green Up when the program first started, and it was about circular business models. And when I was now looking back, I thought, hey, it's far better to talk about such a very concrete topic. And it's also a topic that is really important to myself because I think really, as you will see later, I think longevity is really a key also to the circular economy. Maybe a few words first. Who's talking to you today? As you know, my name is Eva Bucherer. I'm mainly working as a consulting in the circular economy and sustainability area. I'm working directly with companies, and my aim in my job is really to support them, yeah, to get it done, basically. As you can see here down on the slide, Kreislaufwirtschaft einfach machen. Circular economy made easy, maybe to translate that into English. And yeah, myself, I was working also long years in the industry. I didn't start with circular economy right away, but I worked in broader topic of business innovation and a long time I spent in the area of technology and digitalization. And yeah, from the start on, my topic was always innovation. I was always interested in new things, but then also in how to make them work in the practice. Because I think there are so many things coming along, especially if you're also looking at technologies and new technologies, and then there are a lot of hypes and at the end, a lot of things, they don't really arrive at the side of the customer or on the market. And sometimes it's maybe better and sometimes it's also for the bad, I would say. So yeah, this is really my aim to make or to help companies to become more circular, to become more sustainable, but especially to help them not only in finding ideas, but really in making things work for them. And this, as the name of the company says, is very much also bound to the topic of business models. So not just the product needs to be sustainable, but the whole business model of the company. And yeah, apart from that, I'm doing different things. I'm also working as a lecturer, heading the further education program, which is called Sustainable Innovation at ZHAW in Winterthur. And I'm also active more on the activist side, one could say. Sorry, I just saw that this slide wasn't translated, but I think it speaks for itself. So Offcut, I'm in the board of Offcut in Basel. This is an organization aiming to bring in offcuts from the industry, so things that are cut off in the production or also material that is no longer needed by other be it industry or also private persons. It can be brought to this little shop in Basel, and they also have shops in other cities in Switzerland. And then someone new is found who can use the material. Down here, I'm also active for Circular Economy Switzerland. It's an association aiming on bringing forward the whole topic of circular economy in Switzerland. And this is also an invitation to you. As you can see, that we have a lot of events around Switzerland, in Basel, but also in others, and also Davos is one. Also now together a little bit with GoSimple or Green Up. And yeah, you will find a lot of really nice events and the chance to exchange with others on these topics. And some of you already joined one of our events or more. So yeah, to start, I would like to bring in this approaches to sustainability, and as the program of GoSimple is very much, as I would rate it, is very much focusing on the top, the sufficiency topic. I would like to introduce shortly, okay, what are the other approaches to sustainability? What can I do? And yeah, as you know, it's nothing new, but sufficiency is really about what do I really need and why do I need it? So question a little bit the consumption pattern and also, yeah, everything we do and buy and use in our lives. So do we really need it? And yeah, to focus on using less, consuming less. And then on the right, on the left-hand side, efficiency. I mean, this is the most common pattern towards sustainability. It's, yeah, how do I minimize the resources I use at production and use? So it's about making the same product with less material and with less energy, and also the whole discussion of, yeah, energy efficiency and also yeah, more sustainable energy production. And then on the right-hand side, you have the consistency, and this is about the question on how do I design what I need sustainably in a sustainable way. And yeah, this is all interconnected for sure. When I design things in a sustainable way, I also use efficiency patterns. I also use patterns from the sufficiency, but it's really about making things be in line with nature, making them in a way that they can be reused, that they can be also recycled in a good way, and also not to impact nature with the use of materials or the how do you say um, the Abbau, the yeah, production of raw materials basically. And yeah, when we're talking about consistency, we also call this circular economy. And as I said in the beginning, I'm going to talk a bit about circularity as well. And when I was looking for this picture, I came across the other picture here. And it's also a good book to read on if you're interested in the topic. And it's not like the usual picture of circular economy. You will see another one in a minute, but I thought this is also quite well because it depicts a bit the linear way of doing things. So linear production from energy and material input over production, distribution, or sales, then the use of a product, and finally the disposal and yeah, the way we don't want to go with the circular economy, the going to waste in the end. And then if you're now talking about the circular economy, there are, in all these steps, there are ways going back. So you can go back if you have a product that is to be deposed, then maybe someone else could reuse it. So it can go back into use. If you're about to dispose something, it can be maybe brought back to the production and then be remanufactured or refurbished. So maybe you can use certain parts or certain material from an existing product to make a new product. Or like closing the circle, which is also often referred to as yeah, circular economy in the first way, the recycling part, so bringing the material back from the disposed product into the material input. This is basically what we know already from the paper we collect, from the glass we collect, and everything. And yeah, then you have another arrow here under the use phase, which is meant to indicate that also during the use phase, you can yeah, use products intensify the use, or you can also go into dematerialization. This is meant for like, for example, not using books, but maybe reading books on a Kindle or on an electronic reader. And yeah, this is basically what the circular economy is about. Um, Making things not going to waste and using certain different strategies to bring products back into use or to bring products back in the process. And today, as I said, we will focus on the longer use, so on the use phase. But I will shortly also show you some strategies for the circular design that make the circular economy possible. And yeah, there are certain certain strategies you might already know. It's I think nowadays, and I learned that with my students over the last years, that circular economy is more broadly known, and I think a lot of people know the concept, but maybe not the details behind. So yeah, if you're going to say we want to go into the direction of a circular design or even the circular economy, there are certain things to be taken into mind when designing products. At first, as I said, it's really about the material you use, and there is also a big link to the efficiency topic. So also, if you're designing products for a circular economy, it's good to keep in mind not to use too much material and also to minimize the material diversity. So mainly go for more mono material approach, and also yeah, not to use too much material. Then, all right, just wondering where I should go on. For the use phase, for sure, and especially if you're talking about longer use, products should be durable and timeless. And I think we'll see later on, timelessness is really a hard topic. It's not so easy to be defined what is timeless. And products for sure should be repairable, they should be maintainable. Yeah, to make them use longer than maybe other products. And on the reuse side, modularity and adaptability are big topics. I will also show some examples later on. But this means that products are designed in a way that they can be taken apart and kind of modular fashion. And modules, maybe like, let me think of an example. Yeah, like a part of a product can be exchanged for a new one. Or maybe they can even be adapted. And let's not just think about products as a chair or something we know from, or like a physical product, but it can also be a software product, for example, which can be adapted, or yeah, as maybe also a hardware which can be given new functionality by maybe adapting the software, for example. Sorry. When you're talking about bringing things back to remanufacturing and refurbishing, it's very important that things can be disassembled, which is also part of the modularity, but then it's also about how parts of a product are fixed together. Are they glued or are they screwed? And there, yeah, and also how easily can they be disassembled? Because I don't know if you ever tried to fix an electronic product. It can be pretty hard to get those products, yeah, out or to exchange parts of those products or to open a product. So the disassembly is a very important part. And also, especially looking into countries such as Switzerland, where manual labor is really expensive, it's very important that those steps are easily made because otherwise they get far too costly. I didn't say it in the beginning, but I worked for furniture manufacturer for some years, and we had a project also on circular economy. And one thing we looked into was what would it mean for us if we take back our products, disassemble them, and recycle them in their individual fractions of the product. So if we give steel into the steel section, because usually a product is not disassembled before recycling, but it's just crushed down into small parts, and then the parts are separated. And yeah, we were unable to do a disassembly of, for example, an office chair because it became far too costly. Because to take apart an office chair in the different parts, it would take about half an hour to really break it down into the individual parts. And this would mean that the recycling, yeah, you can count maybe with, even if you have a low labor rate of maybe 100 Swiss francs an hour, then it would cost you already 50 Swiss francs to disassemble product. And another really important part is the material safety in the end. If it comes to really recycling materials in a circular or in a cycle or in a circular system, then it's really important that the materials you use in the beginning are safe, which means that, for example, for plastics, there can be additions in the plastics to make it more durable or to make it resistant to sunlight or whatever. And sometimes this are not those are unsafe chemicals, and which is already bad if you're using them in a first cycle. But the problem is if you're recycling material, then if there are bad chemicals in there, they can accumulate over the time, which makes it even worse. So, which really makes a circular economy unsafe in the end for the customer. And yeah, those are all more aspects that should be taken into account on a product basis. But then I think it's really, really important, and that's not, I'm not just saying this because I'm working on the topic of business models, but it's really important also to build up certain systems or business models with such products. You can see this oftentimes. Companies are developing really cool and long-lasting and circular products, and the products can be 100% recyclable, but in the end, if there's no recycling process, people will not be able to recycle a product. And it might be, it might seem a little bit yeah, weird, but this happens often. I mean, I'm talking to a lot of customers that are telling me, hey, we have a really cool product we developed. It's 100% recyclable. For example, there was an acoustic panel maker, and they developed a panel out of how do you say that? Dinkelspreu, so the rests of corn production. And they told me, yeah, you know, our product, it's 100% recyclable. It's such a cool product. And when I asked them, okay, so how do you get it back and how is it actually recycled? They told me, yeah, you know, customers could just dump the product in the woods. So yeah, basically, how could you maybe dump 100 acoustic panels at a time in some remote place? Yeah, it won't work. So it's even if the product is recyclable, you need yeah the fitting systems and business models in place. So yeah, that's another. As I said, this is not the very usual picture you would see for circular economy. This is one you will find very often. It's from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and you can basically the same here, just not on a horizontal layer, but from top to down and then going back up. And this model also differentiates between the biological cycle and the technical cycle, which means so we on the first picture we saw more this technical cycle, so materials such as plastics or steel or so on. And on the left-hand side, you see the biological cycle, and this refers to biological materials. For example, wood, you could see on the left-hand side. So wood can be used in so-called cascades. Maybe you have a wood panel, like or you have not a panel, but you have a piece of wood first that you're using in furniture. Then you can break it down to be used as parts or particles in a panel board. And at the end, yeah, as I just depicted, yeah, it can be maybe not brought back to the forest, but it can be also used for yeah, like for biological feedstock. So it can be collected, it can be brought back into a biological cycle, it can be composted in the end. And what's important in terms of longevity is if you're coming from here down at the end of the first cycle, maybe, and going back up, the further you go, or the cycles, the further the cycles have to go back, it's increasing the environmental impact. So what we would want to do is keep a product in the best possible condition for the longest period of time. So we would like to keep it really in this inner circle, we can say, maintenance, reuse, and redistribution. So like keeping the product alive and not recycling the product in the end. It has to be said so that there can be exceptions. For example, if you have products that have a big increase in energy efficiencies, such as maybe washing machines over the last 40 years or so, there was a big increase in energy efficiency, then it can be more beneficial to also buy a new product because it needs less energy in total then. And I didn't say that, but if you have any questions or any comments, then you can always interrupt me and ask your questions or also bring in your ideas and thoughts. This you probably already know, also maybe from the GoSimple program. Yeah, why are we doing this? So why should we keep our products for as long as possible? You all know that we're using far too many resources right now, starting on the right-hand side with the country overshoot day. On the 7th of May, we are basically running out of renewables resources in Switzerland. So if everyone would live as we are in Switzerland, we would need more than two, almost three Earths to recover those materials. And on the other hand, and this is also currently in the media, the planetary boundaries on the left-hand side. So there are certain thresholds in our environmental system that we already passed. You all know this also. Yeah, the climate change with all the CO2 emissions we have, and we can see here there are 9 things that are measured, 9 boundaries that have been defined, and 7 we already crossed the line, kind of. And the red color means that when we are crossing a line, there might be no going back. So the points that are really making our Earth system unstable. So we really need to focus on reducing, living more sufficient, but when we are using products, then also to use them as long as possible. That said, I'm sorry I didn't find this, or I couldn't find a really good graphic in English, but I only want to mention one thing on this graphic. Coming from here, coming from overusing resources, and the ecological footprint we have. I found this very interesting to see again. Things we consume make up for about a third of our ecological footprint. So the three big things are how we live, so the housing, the mobility, and also food for sure, but also what we are consuming. And so if we change the way we consume, we can also have a great impact on our ecological footprint. And yeah, it's a graphic from Germany. So it's about 11 tons CO2 emissions in Germany. In Switzerland, we are even at 14 tons of CO2 emissions. And the last example from this, why are we doing this? Looking at consumption, we personal or individual consumption, we often talk about textiles, so fast fashion, wasting textiles in a very fast way, and also buying a lot of textiles. And the one hand side is the production of textiles, but then on the other hand, you also have the textile waste, which is producing a lot of impacts on an ecological side. You have the waste, which is incinerated, which leads to CO2 emissions. And then, as you also know, there's also a lot of problems with our textile waste exported to other countries. And I just wanted to show this because of those numbers. So per year in Switzerland, we have 12.5 kilograms of textile waste, of which, I guess about half of it is clothes, and half of it also is collected separately, so in tax aid containers or so on. But still, half of those, or more than half of those textile waste collected or produced is just incinerated, so burned, and the material is lost forever. Maybe, we gain some energy from it, but it's really wasted. And even if we're thinking about reusing textiles, as I just said, it creates a lot of trouble also in third world countries where we're exporting those textiles to, for example. So yeah, I think it's clear that maybe we should add one sentence to the slide. We should keep products in use for as long as possible, and looking from the GoSimple perspective and from the sufficiency perspective, we should probably add another sentence before just buy those products you really need, and try to be as sufficient as you can be. I think it's important also to look at the side of why are we actually wasting things? Why don't products, why don't we use products for a long time? And I like the concept of so-called obsolescence. So a product becoming obsolescent can be due to material obsolescence, and this you might also know this terminology from the so-called planned obsolescence. It means that a product basically breaks because of individual components or materials that wear out and then render the product unusable. So this is a product that breaks basically. But I think it's important that breaking products are not really, or often not, the reason of a product's end of life in our society. So most of the products we waste or give to waste are not broken actually. And I think it's good to think about, okay, why are we actually giving away products that are perfectly fine? And there are three or more, it's just one definition, but I picked out those three things or three types of obsolescence. So there could also be a functional obsolescence. That means that a function of a product is no longer needed due to technical, market, or social developments. So you don't need the product any longer, or yeah, for example, storage in an office space, everything becomes digital, so you don't need an office container any longer. Then you have the psychological obsolescence, which is often referred also to aesthetic obsolescence. So you don't like the product any longer because it's not up to date any longer, or you have a perceived added value in a novel product. So that's, for example, buying a new phone every 2 years, although the old phone is still functioning well. And then you also have the economic obsolescence, which means that the costs of using a product, for example, due to repair or also due to the consumables, is higher than for a new product. I think we all know this, that sometimes if we buy a printer, for example, it's really cheap, and once we want to buy a new cartridge, then it becomes really expensive. It seems sometimes even cheaper to buy a new printer than just to buy the consumables. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about economic obsolescence. And I think it's also a big point in why we are giving away things. Then we might even want to repair things. Then we ask for an offer to get the thing repaired, and it turns out the repair is often as expensive as a new product or almost as expensive. Just a second, I have to do something in the room. Back in a second. I'm sorry. And yeah, looking at the time, I want to go through some examples, but I would like to do this pretty quickly so we can start also into the discussion. Sorry for taking so much time on bringing you to why are we doing this, and what are the reasons for longevity. Yeah, I thought it would be good to bring you some practical insights on how to identifying a long-lasting product, and I think those can be good key aspects. Look at the brand reputation reviews and product tests. Look at companies offering maintenance and repair services, because if they do so, they know that their products can be repaired. Spare parts and repair guides. Does the company offer spare parts so you can give your product long life in repairing it? Then you have also labeling. You have material and craftsmanship. Is the product modular and updatable? You have a good indicator in the guarantee period. So in Switzerland, we talk about Garantie and Gewährleistung. So guarantee would be something a producer gives you voluntarily, and the Gewährleistung warranty would be the legal warranty. So that's basically 2 years in Switzerland, but a company can give you up to whatever they want, maybe 30 years. We'll see that later. Then have a look at also at the second-hand market. What products are there? They are often, you can find the long-lasting products also on the second-hand market because they are still up and running, and also the topic of timelessness. And if you're selecting a new product, I would also recommend you to always ask critical questions and research a lot on the product. And yeah, just some quick examples on what I mean with the topics. For example, the brand reputation, like in Fairphone, their basic USP is that the Fairphone is repairable and is modular, for example. Then maintenance and repair services. Patagonia, for example, they offer repair services for free even. So you can give back or bring back your product anytime, and they will repair it for you for free, which also shows that they believe in the quality of their product. Then something that might not be very, or might not seem to fit in IKEA. I know that all the products are not very sustainable and long-lasting, but what I find is really cool is especially the topic on the right-hand side here. IKEA offers spare parts for free, so you can identify in your product with the little number you have on the instructions the product missing or maybe that has to be repaired, and you can get it for free from IKEA. And they also talking or thinking about a disassembly instruction for products. Then you have labels, like the long time label. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of labels for circular products, neither, nor for long lasting products, but it's currently really coming up. So, one label to look at would be really the long time label. They also have a website where they have a number of products that you can, that got the label. And what I find really cool is they have like general criteria that define longevity for them, and they are all accessible for free. So you could also go through it and have a look what you could look at for products, for aspects of products that make them long lasting. And then they have also product specific criteria. For example, for this outdoor furniture part, they have a specific list you can also access to see what criteria make a product long lasting in this category. And then material and craftsmanship. I think often it's good to buy a product from a company. Opinel, for example, they have been around for over 100 years, so they really know what they are doing. And you can expect a very well-made product, but it's also about the material. So choose products from material that are really made also for the area of use you're using the product in. Wood is very resistant, it's very long lasting, and also the inox steel they're using, it can be used for ages. And it can be also repaired in terms of, I'm not sure how you say that, but making making the how's it called? Yeah, like yeah, you know what I mean, using sort of like making the sharpener to make it sharp again. And as I said, there are companies giving like far longer guarantee times than the usual 2 years warranty. For example, Löffler, it's a German furniture maker. They give you 30 years on their products, and even on the wear and tear parts, such as the fabric, they give you 10 years of guarantee, which I think it's a really good guarantee to buy a long lasting product. And then, yeah, as I said already, the second-hand market, I think it's the best indicator for long-lasting products. For example, if you're looking for toys on Ricardo, you will see that for Lego, you will find about 20,000 products online. I think, yeah, as you know, they are almost, yeah, they can last for probably 100 years, even if they are plastics, so very long lasting. But it's also good if you're looking for something, then try a search on Ricardo or Tutti, and you will find often you will find the brands that are more the long lasting ones. And on the other hand, it's good also to look into online stores or shops. Are the companies offering secondhand products themselves, such as Apple does, for example? And more companies are actually doing it. And I think this also shows that the product is long lasting many times, at least. Sometimes companies are also just using this to resell things they're getting back from their online shops. But I think it's easily seeable if you're looking at the online shop. And as I said in the beginning, the timelessness, which is not so easy. Yeah, you see a black chair here. Sure, those more, yeah, easy colors like black, white, wooden colors are more likely to be timeless than like the orange from the 80s or 70s. But I think it's also really nice to see this is a chair made in Switzerland from bent wood by Horgen Glarus, and it was designed in 1918. So there is design which is really long lasting. Yeah, you can buy classics, and by buying classics, you can already make sure probably they will be also classics in 20 years on. They won't change. But yeah, if you're buying products, then look out for more the timeless designs and colors. And yeah, that's my last slide. I will leave you with this some notes on how to personally ensure longevity of products, because the one hand side, as we just went through, is the longevity or the long-lasting product itself, and the longevity design maybe. But then it also depends a lot on yourself. So you know that like already buying a product, it's important to make the right decisions, see the criteria I just mentioned, but also buy secondhand where possible, because this is already giving a longer life to an existing product. Handle products with care. I think that's also something that we lost a bit in our daily lives. So we're using products, but oftentimes we don't give so much care to our products when we're using them. And also giving care in terms of maintenance and repair. And oftentimes, if repair is not done directly, then the product will even more wear and tear off. So ensure that maintenance is done correctly and timely. And I think for the future, watch out for upcoming initiatives. There's a lot going on the EU level. So in the future, we will have product passports, so digital passports for our products. And the aim of the EU, for example, is also to include maintenance and repair services in those passports. So information on how to care for products will become more available and easily available. Then also the right to repair, which is something that is also on the Swiss level, something we hear a lot about currently. For example, with the repair bonus in Zurich. So Zurich introduced a repair bonus where people living in Zurich can get a part of a repair paid by the city of Zurich. So if you're going to repair your vacuum cleaner, for example, Zurich will pay you maybe 20 Swiss francs or so of the repair. And yeah, I think the most important thing is don't throw things away, even if you don't need them any longer. In my opinion, there's always someone who will be happy to have this thing, whatever it is, even if it's just kind of a material. Um, yeah.